Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United hosting Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. A chance to bounce back from the Arsenal defeat. Joining me as always is my good mate, Joe Smith.
Yeah.
Joe, bouncing back seems a little bit melodramatic.
Isn't it the name of Alan Partridge's autobiographer?
The one that got pulped?
Yeah, it's the one that got pulped.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a shame, that, isn't it?
Bless him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh well.
Who hasn't drove to Dundee eating Toblerones barefooted? Eh? Yeah, listen, I don't want to be melodramatic. He's only lost one game. And also, it was a bit of a free hit, but this is a chance to put things right. People will look at the Arsenal game and go, look, here's a manager who's been at the club for 5 minutes against a manager who's been there for years, against a title-challenging team when we're in the bottom half of the table, or around the bottom half of the table at the time, whatever it was. You kind of expected a defeat at Arsenal. Yeah. I'm not saying United should go into games expecting to lose, but the sort of the smart money was on United would struggle in that game, and we did. Yeah. And it wasn't like we completely embarrassed ourselves. However, now this is a game where people go, well, okay, Forest at home. Yes, Forest have been doing well this season, but it's a winnable one, and it's a good opportunity for Ruben Amorim to just stop it becoming like a bit of a run of defeats, whatever, and just get back to winning ways.
And Forest are in a decent position for us to play them as well, because they were third and now they're seventh. So they've just dropped off a little bit.
Losers.
In recent weeks. I know we're 13th, so I can't really talk, but we're only 3 points behind them, and they aren't quite in that form that they were in maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's probably a good time to play them at Old Trafford as well. And the other thing, like you mentioned, is if we don't beat them, yes, we won the first 2 games under Amorim, but because of the nature of those games, people will be saying, well, just 1 win in 3 in the Premier League since he arrived. You know, that all of a sudden, there's your narrative. There's the grain of sand at the back of the oyster, or whatever it is. So it's like you start to build a story around that if you're not careful. 1 win in 3, whereas 2 wins in 3 and 3 wins in 4 in all competitions, or whatever it is, 3 wins in 4 in all competitions. That's a little bit better. So I do think that it's going to be important to win this game, and I think they're a good team to play because yes, they're dangerous, but it's Chris Wood doing a lot of the goal scoring for them. Right. If we can stop that, I think the ability to bounce back, as it says there, is something that's well within our capability, and I think really we should beat them. No,
I agree, and also, I mean, the big question is a grain of sand at the back of an oyster a bad thing or a positive? Is that like a? Well, if I've got sand in my oyster, yeah. Is that, am I happy?
It depends, because it's uncomfortable for the oyster,
right?
Us as fans,
yeah.
But sometimes that can be the start of something good building overall.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't want to be 1 win in 3,
right?
Which is the sand. That's a bit picky.
That's yeah.
And then all of a sudden, sometimes the pearl that comes from that is a good pearl,
yeah,
or it can be a bad pearl. It kills the oyster.
Oysters.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Listen, I agree with everything you said. Yeah. The narratives form very quickly at Manchester United. If you don't believe that, go back to Erik ten Hag's first few weeks in the job when we lost back-to-back games. Go to Ralph Rangnick when the wheels started coming off. Go to David Moyes. Any Manchester United manager post Alex Ferguson, as soon as he'll start losing a couple of games, whatever, people don't say, oh, they're the right man for the job, but certainly the scrutiny increases. And then, you'll get, especially online, a few rival fans and maybe even pundits who start sort of pointing out other managers that we could have got and things like that. It just gets a little bit silly. Yeah. And we don't need any of that silliness here. One player who has been spoken about, probably more than any player post Alex Ferguson, is Marcus Rashford. After the Everton game, it was like, great. 2 goals, 3 goals in 2 games in the Premier League under Ruben Amorim. Let's see this. Let's see this be the catalyst for Marcus Rashford to kick on. He didn't start the Emirates. He came on, and I don't think his substitute appearance could have gone much worse for him, to be honest with you. There was the corner, which I watched the clip back. A bit unlucky, he slips, but he still gave away the corner. And also, we conceded 14 corners that night, or 13.
Yeah.
The issue you've got is one of the 2 that led to a goal was from Marcus Rashford doing what he did. So he gets extra hammered for that. Then you have the fact that going forward he wasn't good enough, and I agree with that bit. And now I've seen this clip trending of him not clapping the fans at the end. It's just this whole narrative again. We're talking about narratives of Marcus Rashford, get rid of him. Me and you have stuck up for Marcus Rashford and defended him. And I hate the fact we have to keep having these discussions.
Yeah.
But this, for me, is a game where, like the Everton game, if he starts, and we'll get into our predicted 11s in a minute, this could be an opportunity for him to just shut up some of the noise.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's a load of bollocks, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the clapping thing. I can't even tell.
I don't know. I'm not arguing about that.
No. But it's almost like he could be doing that.
No, I don't know.
He stood there accepting the praise or the whatever it is from the away fans. He's there. He's doing. The
clip I saw, I think TalkSport did a story or whatever, and it was like the clip was. And again, I've not seen the full clip, so I don't want to be too. I'm not judging him on this. I'm just saying this is the story that's doing the rounds.
The story is happening. Whether we agree
him
with it or
walking
not.
away without acknowledging the fans, kind of thing. But I didn't see the full footage of whether he had walked over and this was just the back end of it or what. Whatever the story is. My point is, he's getting pelters.
He is, and I just think that he's our top scorer in the league. He's got 7 goals and 3 assists this season, which isn't great, but I think it's 21 appearances now. It's not the end of the world. It's a goal or assist every other game, and I think that we should be trying to hope that he does start playing well. And it's like at the minute everyone's looking for every reason why he's a knobhead and why he's bad at football and why he's a disgrace to Manchester United, whether it be dropping gloves or walking to the tunnel. And let's hope he isn't a knobhead, because he's still going to be at least till January, and let's be honest, probably to the end of the season. And let's be honest again, quite likely he's here next year as well.
Yeah.
So what do we want from a player who's going to be here for a minimum of 8 months, and most likely a year and 8 months, if nothing else? We want him to play well. And what isn't going to help him play well is every single thing on and off the pitch he just gets absolutely abused for. Fair enough, criticise his performances, and if you think it's a bit silly not walking over or dropping his gloves, that's all right. But this thing of like going out of people's way to criticise him and him in particular because everyone knows it's an easy pile on, it's clicks and it's likes on social media, I just think it's completely unnecessary. And if he does something wrong, like going out and boozing when he should be in training, call him a knob, and that's all right. And he was. But this whole thing of like, he's our top scorer. It's not a great number with 4 in the Premier League, but it's a bigger number than anyone else in the squad's got. So let's try and get behind him and hope that number 4 can become a number 15 by the end of the season. It's not impossible. He has got that about him. He can score goals. Let's support him a little bit. And if at the end of the year it hasn't worked out, fair enough, say we should sell him, get rid of him. He's had enough chances now. But he's here, he's playing, he's starting games for Man United. Let's hope he does as well as he possibly can, surely.
Yeah, it gets a little bit too much at times. Like, we did the agree or disagree, and I asked the question about whether it was, attitude or confidence, whatever. And I remember someone on Twitter had not even clipped it up, just took a screenshot and made an issue of the fact I asked the question.
I know.
You can't even ask the question. You have to just hammer him.
Ridiculous.
Like, you can't even say, is it this or this? Even if you don't agree with one of those, you've got to just hammer him all the time. And it's like, yes, you can criticise Marcus Rashford, and I have done, but you can also...
all have.
Yeah, we all have. But you can also get behind him as well, and you can also hope that he turns it around. I hope he does, because like you said, he ain't going anywhere yet.
No.
Even if you don't like him, you don't rate him, whatever, he's still going to be here till at least January.
Yeah.
So even if you think he should be sold in January, it ain't January now. Yeah. So this whole thing of like, he just needs getting rid of. Right, okay, sound. You're not going to be able to do that for another month.
And if you do, you're replacing him with someone who's scored fewer goals in the league. So it's not. It's like it's all rosy.
And also, there's certain things. Like, I was critical of Marcus the other night for his lack of effort or effectiveness going forward. I thought it was a poor performance from Marcus when he came off that bench, and I thought we should have caused Arsenal far more problems. I didn't lose my shit over what he did with his gloves or whatever else was going on. That some of the stuff is like, I get it, some of it, but others, I'm just like, nah, my life's too short. Let's talk about our predicted 11s then. Yes. Go on, give us yours first.
It's a bit of a tweaked 11, obviously.
Is it now?
Pretty much every week. So Onana in goal, that doesn't need tweaking. And then a back 3. I'm giving Mazraoui a rest, Jay, because he's played, I think, almost every minute, if not every minute.
There's a reason for that.
I know he's fantastic, but with Martinez having a week off, because we know he had a bit of a hip injury or something a couple of weeks ago and he kept playing regardless, he's had a week off. Hopefully that will have sort of got another step closer. I'm going to give Lenny Yoro a start as well, and whether he comes off at half-time for Mazraoui, this sort of pre-planned kind of change, I think it'd be nice to see him start a game, and Old Trafford's a good place to do that. And I think De Ligt in there with him is more than good enough as a back 3 for me. And let Mr. Mazraoui, who has 115 touches a game might be a bit knackered. Do you know what I mean? And he's a bit of an injury-prone player, or has been, so he could do with a break. Dalot back on the left. I think Ahmad has to come back in and start on that right wing-back spot. Far more effective than anyone else we've had in that position. And then I want to see Mainu and Ugarte. I like the idea of these two, whether it works in practice or not. I like the energy, the disruptiveness of Ugarte, and the sort of ball playing and dribbling ability, and just composure generally of Mainu and everything else that he brings. I want to see that as a midfield pair. Then Højlund again has to start for me, with Rashford again starting because he didn't against Arsenal, and Bruno starting because he starts every game. I like that team. I want to see that team.
I like that team. I'm curious whether Euro is ready for a start. I was toying with that idea myself. I get it. I get your argument. I also understand your argument.
He did that with Malacia, didn't he?
Yeah.
The first time back wasn't off the bench. It was to start, and then he comes off. So
maybe there's something there. The one question I've got is, I know this sounds a little bit melodramatic, but can you afford to drop Mazraoui? He's so good.
Yeah,
he's been our best player since. I think he's been our player of the season. I do. I know. I do love Ahmad though, so it's close. But I think overall, I think you'd probably give it Mazraoui, because there was a time when Ahmad wasn't even getting in the team, and Mazraoui sort of since Fulham, since he arrived, which is the first game of the season, he's pretty much been a first teamer. So I understand where you're coming from. It would be nice to give him a rest, but mine's slightly different. I've gone a back three of Maguire, De Ligt and Martinez. I hear you about Euro. I thought he did very well at the Emirates, and if he starts, I'll be buzzing. I just wonder, because of we heard that United are a little bit almost overly cautious with Lenny Euro, that maybe that comes into it. You make a good point about Tyrell Malacia, and let's face facts, if you're going to be cautious about anyone, it'd be with a kid who's spent 18 months on the treatment table. But I just feel that might play in the mind a little bit, where this is probably the game where you would have brought him back if you weren't being overly cautious, so let's give it another week or whatever. But we'll see. I'd be happy to see him start. I'd actually love to see him start. So I've got Maguire, De Ligt and Martinez obviously come back from his suspension. I've got I'm going to have Diallo as my right wing back. I think that Ruben Amorim is, I don't know, it's got negative connotations, but grooming him on that right hand side, I think that's where he wants him to be. He's right wing back, and you've seen him. Don't look at me like that. There isn't a perfectly acceptable way to use that word. He's trying to make him that right wing back that he wants. I feel
by doing what?
Don't make me say it again. He's become his little pet project. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Now you're just making everything I say sound weird, right? He wants to get the best out of Amad Diallo, and he thinks the best position for him is on that right wing back. And stop making it weird, right? So I'm gonna stick with Amad Diallo on the right wing back. I thought it was a bit of a shocker that he didn't start, even though I understand it against Arsenal. I think he'll start this one. In the middle, I agree completely what you said about Mainu and Ugarte, so I don't need to go over that. I've got Mazraoui at left wing back. He can play anywhere. He can play on the right, left. I know he's been as part of the back three, but I think we've got options in the back three now. That's why he's been moved up the pitch. Bruno is going to play. I think he might end up playing in the 10 or one of the 10s alongside Marcus Rashford, with Joshua Zirkzee starting, because he keeps rotating.
Yeah, he does.
That's the only reason. This is my predicted. If it was up to me, I would start Højlund over Zirkzee, but it isn't, and I think he might bring Zirkzee back into the first team.
And Zirkzee looked poor off the bench, so I feel like one of the problems with Zirkzee is he's not quite up to the speed of the Premier League.
Yeah.
When you bring him off the bench, when everyone else has been playing for off 45 minutes or 60 minutes and he hasn't, he looked really slow against Arsenal. So I understand. I can see that.
It's not the one, is it?
No,
it doesn't do anyone any favours.
No.
Not him or Manchester United. Before we get to Nottingham Forest, I want to remind you to get your phones out, film yourselves in landscape for 30 seconds, yeah? Giving us your score prediction, and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com, and we will use that as part of our pre-match build-up during the watch-along, yeah? 30 seconds with your score predictions. Send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Nottingham Forest. They were flying. I think Forest, right, have suffered, because as you pointed out, they were third not long ago. Now they're down to seventh, which is still fantastic for them. But I think Forest are past that bit now where people are going, oh, it's only Forest.
Yeah.
People are now going, oh, it's Forest.
They're doing well this year.
Yeah, oh, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Wood has got 9 goals this season. He's flying.
Yeah.
They've been banging in the goals. Although I think they've got as many, they've conceded as many as they've scored. Am I right in thinking?
There you go.
I mean, it's a bit of a mixed bag to say the least. But you're going to get a game against Nottingham Forest, but you can beat them. That's how it feels like to me.
Isn't it weird that I know Forest, obviously the expectations are different, but they were like third in almost like this week or whatever. I know it's not quite, but up until very recently they were third. We've been so bad that we've sacked our manager and we're 3 points behind him.
Yeah. But that is the thing as well.
How it's been this
it is
season,
bizarre,
yeah.
And you're right. But then there's also the fact that our manager needed to hit the ground running, didn't he, inside out.
Of course. I get everything that goes into it, but I feel like there's a lot of teams that I think we must be 10 points behind them. Yeah. Like Villa or Forest or Newcastle or Tottenham. And we're like right next to
Do you know what
them.
this reminds me of this season?
Go on.
The Premier League. Reminds me of the Championship.
Yeah,
the championship. Like, where a team will be like fighting relegation, they'll win 2 games, and then you'll see the manager being interviewed going, we're almost at the playoffs, and you think, hang on a minute. Your job was under pressure a month ago. And now
they've won 4 of the last 5 and now they're favourites for promotion.
And what is going on? It's so close. And there's a touch of that in the Premier League. I know that obviously the Scousers are
they're just doing it
in danger of running away with it. But the rest of us, it is very, very, very tight, very close.
It's Chris Wood's birthday on Saturday, which is a worry for me.
Why?
Because he'll be extra motivated.
He won't, though, will he?
He won't.
He will. That's a myth.
How come people score more on their debuts than they do in other times?
Because they're an unknown entity. People don't know what to expect. People have never played against them before for that team.
I don't think that's true.
It's new. It's fresh.
I think. And also when.
How old are you? How old are you?
31.
Right. Are you?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
All right. I am.
Are you really?
Yeah.
All right. I thought you was in your 20s. Right. Well, that's ruined what I was going to say. When you get to a certain age, when you get to your 30s, Joe, you'll know about this.
Oh, right.
Because how old's Chris Wood?
33.
Right.
Or he will be on Saturday.
He ain't going to be buzzing about his birthday.
Today.
He's going to be like,
No.
for fuck's sake, I'm 33.
But it's not though, is it? Because we all know players have something within them where they can turn it on if they want to.
No, that's what
they do.
Doing. He might not even turn up.
But do you know, like,
he might drive to Dundee in Toblerone barefooted.
Do you know when something happens though, or something happens in a player's life, or they've just had a kid, or something sad happens, or that it's their birthday, or they're playing against the former team, or do you know what I mean? All these things. It's their first game for a new team. It feels so much more common that people score on big days for them, or like when they're playing for a contract, all of a sudden they're just a better player, are they? Yeah. There is something within you that can make you turn up a bit more on certain days. Do you not believe in that?
Sometimes. I think the debut one, you might have a point. But I think your birthday, fuck off. Like, it's my birthday, so I've scored against United. Nah, mate.
All right.
Hey,
fine.
I'm going to eat my words there, aren't I? Go on then. With all that being said, give us your score prediction.
A slice of word cake with a single candle in it for Chris Wood's birthday. That's what you're being. Score prediction, 3-1 Man United. Chris Wood to score, obviously. But I also think that Rashford will score again. Yeah. I think that Mainoo's going to get on the score sheet.
Oh my God, I'm on the pitch if he does.
I'm fancying a little Dilic header as well.
Nice.
What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm worried. We're still a work in progress.
Sure.
We are. Like, I think this might be a 1-1.
1-1.
And knowing my luck, Chris Wood will score and he'll take his top off to have some sort of birthday message to himself.
Birthday message to you on it?
Yeah. So, shut up, Jay, you dickhead. Joe was right.
And then I'll get a stick for that.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. And the good thing is, I am always wrong.
But also,
I'm going to go 1-0.
Just on that thing of being able... Oh, sorry, 1-0. Thank you. Just on that thing of being able to manufacture performances. Michael Jordan did it his whole career. He would literally pretend that someone had said something bad about him, and that would make him play better. So it's possible.
Oh yeah, so obviously, it's not like Michael Jordan was extra special. He's just a normal footballer. So yeah, you can definitely compare Chris Wood's birthday to Michael Jordan. Fucking hell.
So you think Chris Wood's special...
Let's compare arguably the greatest sportsman ever to a 33-year-old New Zealander.
32 as of recording.
Right. On his birthday, he'll be 33. You know what I'm saying.
But I think him pretending that someone in a shopping mall said that his trainers weren't very nice, or whatever it is that Michael Jordan would get annoyed at, is far less of a motivator than one of Chris Wood's only 33 birthdays he's had. And let's be honest, he didn't remember the first 5.
Do you know what, right? Not since Carlos Tevez played for City have I ever wanted a player to score against us less than I want Chris Wood to score against. If Chris Wood scores against us now, I'm going to end up getting barred from Old Trafford for life. as I lose my shit.
Well, we'll find out, and hopefully you're right.
God,
Hopefully Chris Wood don't even know it's
you know what?
birthday.
I'm gonna have to turn my phone off and not come on the channel for at least 6 years if this happens. Get involved in the channel comments. Go and check Joe out on the Sloppy Joe's podcast. You know where to find him. You know where to find me as well. Don't forget, if you're not doing already, to subscribe to the channel. We are going to be here for the watch along. Plus, we'll have all the post-match reaction from the likes of, well, everyone. You know who the usual suspects are. That's been Joe. I've been Jay. This has been a preview for Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest on Chris Wood's birthday. Thanks for watching.
If a Chris
He's
Wood
score now.
scores for a Forest, but no one's around to hear it, does it still get a positive goal difference?
Beautiful, that.
Thanks.